There are no new answers. That's an important lesson I try to remind myself in my photography journey and just life in general. It's often the very problems we struggle with have already been solved by those who've come before us. And even if we feel like we found a new or true insight, someone's probably said it already. So why then do we struggle instead of simply picking up a book, read what the masters have already found in their lifetime of learning, and apply it to our craft? Perhaps it's a time thing. As time passes, we forget. Perhaps it's an ignorance thing. We refuse to learn from others because we think we know best. Perhaps it's a pride thing. We find value in learning and discovering things for ourselves. But at the end of the day, if you've got a problem, you have two real options. You can try to figure it out yourself or learn from someone who's already solved it. Today, we're going to do the latter. This is photography advice I learned from studying the greats. Cartier-Bresson and the Golden Rule. Perhaps one of the most renowned street photographers of the last century, Cartier-Bresson taught us many things about street photography that people nowadays forget. He popularized the concept of the decisive moment, suggesting that there's a decisive moment at every interval of life, and it's the photographer's job to capture that. It's a combination of anticipation, timing, and understanding that goes into capturing timeless photos. And it's why photography stands out from other mediums. The frame frozen in time can tell 1,000 words. It's ironic then that I see many photographers today struggling and misunderstanding many of the concepts Cartier-Bresson broke down decades ago. I'm going to read out an excerpt from his essay, The Decisive Moment, and you see if you can catch what I'm referencing. Composition must be one of our constant preoccupations, but at the moment of shooting, it can stem only from our intuition, for we are out to capture the fugitive moment, and all the interrelationships involved are on the move. In applying the golden rule, the only pair of compasses at the photographer's disposal is his own pair of eyes. Any geometrical analysis, any reducing of the picture to a schema can be done only because of its very nature after the photograph has been taken, developed, and printed. And then it can be used only for a post-mortem examination of the picture. I hope we will never see the day when Photoshops sell little schema grills to clamp onto our viewfinders, and the golden rule will never be found etched on our ground glass. There is much to be dissected here, but here's what he's saying in pretty clear English. Composition is important, but it comes from our intuition. To apply the golden rule, we can only really use our eyes. Geometrical analysis can only be done after the fact, not before or during the photo. What does this mean? This means don't mathematicize photography. I see so many people online trying to teach composition and framing in an overly structured way. As if to say, if you want to take better photos, use this mathematical thing to structure your photos. Science. Bullshit. This is art and that's not how it works. Me personally, I've never gone outside on a photo session, drawn a Fibonacci spiral in the sky and said, yep, that's a good photo. Never. Like Cartier-Bresson, I follow my eyes and my intuition and I analyze the shot later. And yet, so many people are going about trying to tell others that the reason their photo works is because it follows this perfect ratio of things and whatever nonsense. Because they want some justification, some hard rule to quantify what makes for a good photo, to stroke their ego and prove that they are a good photographer. But here he is, one of the people known and famous for his use of the golden rule, telling us that to apply the golden rule, we have to use our eyes, not rulers. And any confirmation of the golden rule is a post-processing thing. It comes after the photo has been taken. As if predicting the future, he even hopes that we'll never see the golden rule on clamps or schemas to help people compose. Because that's not how it works. Great photos don't come from the golden rule. Great photos are taken, and then when analyzed, some of them follow the golden rule. But it doesn't come first. Don't mistake the chicken for the egg. Joel Meyerowitz and Reinventing Yourself. Let's move on to a less heated example. Joel Meyerowitz is another street photographer, known for his photos of New York, but midway into his photography journey, he flipped the switch and began shooting in color on a large 8x10 format of all things. This was a stark contrast to his usual Leica photography. Out of this, he created one of his more iconic works, Cape Light. Cape Light is a collection of images documenting Meyerowitz's time in Cape Cod, and many of the images are both calm and dynamic, scenic and captivating. I actually found this book in a used bookstore for a pretty cheap price, so I had to pick it up. More than the images he produced, what I took from Meyerowitz was the way he went about doing things. Cape Light was released in 1976. Meyerowitz began his photography journey around 1962. That's a whole 14 years apart, and it shows that it's never too late to switch gears and completely reinvent yourself as a photographer, not only genre-wise, but also the entire system you're shooting on. Similarly, I learned the importance of not boxing yourself in. Cape Light was by no means striking street photographs in the middle of New York. Rather, the tones are peaceful, calm, and aesthetic. It felt like Meyerowitz simply fell in love with this town, wanted to take pictures of it, and made a book around it. The same can apply for anything you and I want to create. The subject doesn't have to be grand, world level, or world changing. Just find something you're attracted to and create around that. This way, even if you've never been to Cape Cod, if done well, the images taken by the photographer will make it feel like you have. Good work can reveal the same emotions, feelings, and ideas the photographer was experiencing at that time. So photograph whatever you want to photograph and use that to create whatever project you want to create. It doesn't have to be what's popular, the subject is chosen by you, after all. And if you feel that compulsion to do something, even if it's not trending, it's in your best interest to pursue it. That's the sort of indirect lesson I learned from flipping through Meyerowitz's book. It gave me that extra bit of permission. Because he did this, I don't feel bad about doing this. Tony Vacarro and loss. Tony Vacarro, I've talked about before, was a well-known wartime photographer, and he documented much of World War II post-war occupation in Germany. In his book, Entering Germany, he details how an accident happens and he loses almost all or the majority of his work. This was in 1947, and roughly 4,000 film images were lost to the void, never to be published or seen again. And undoubtedly, many of these images were iconic, each sharing a space and time which won't be replicated. Despite this, he continued to photograph, amassing nearly 10,000 images by the end of his time in Germany. I think the great takeaway here is, accidents happen. Even if you're the most careful photographer, your hard drives can go bust, your RAIDs can malfunction, and the house can burn down. So the fact of the matter is, everything can and will, one day, be lost. It might not happen when you're alive, but nothing escapes Father Time. And if you or I do stumble upon the unfortunate occurrence of lost, remind yourself, it wasn't a complete waste of time. Maybe we lost all the photos we took in the past decade, the trips, the memories, things that will never happen again. But what we didn't lose was the skill, the knowledge, the understanding of photography we built up over the years. That can't be taken away from us no matter how many hard drives burn. The rebuilding of a new archive or catalog can be a dismal venture. But this archive we've amassed over the years wasn't the point. The point of all the work we put in was to build up us as photographers, artists, creatives. We are the real thing we've been working on all this time. And starting over won't actually be starting over. Like a video game, we'll be able to clear the early levels with ease because we've done it before. If you have the skill, the photos will come. Maybe not the same exact ones, maybe not the exact tones, colors, or moments, but the photos will come. So at the end of the day, studying the greats has taught me a lot about photography. This wasn't meant to be a comprehensive list of every great photographer, but rather just a few I've taken notes from. And what's interesting to me is how relatable many of these lessons we take from others can be. I'm nowhere near the level of these guys, and I don't care to be. And my photography and subject matter isn't the same either. But it doesn't matter because what I've learned from them still applies and still helps. Cartier-Bresson's lesson on composition I actually learned independently on my own. Composition comes from following the eye, any analysis is post-mortem. I had these same thoughts and ideas, and reading his essay gave me the confirmation I needed. The same goes for Joel Meyerowitz. Seeing his work gave me that extra bit of reassurance, that I could switch gears, switch formats, and make whatever I wanted to make. And through Tony Vacarro, I was reminded that losing everything isn't everything. Because if you were to imagine taking pictures that enter the void as soon as you took them, the act of taking them is still rewarding in itself. So, there it is. If you have a photography lesson you've learned from someone either directly or indirectly, share it in the comment section down below. It doesn't have to be from someone famous. They say you can learn from anyone, even a child. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to share it with a friend who could also benefit from it. You can also learn more and build a solid foundation in photography essentials in the link below. It's free. Also, be sure to pick up a copy of The Sinking Sun, my latest zine, prints and shirts in the links down below. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.